Making sure that schools have the support personnel and the teachers so that they can teach and that they don't have to do jobs such as cafeteria workers, which are important jobs that the teachers should be doing. So there's a holistic approach that we're trying to take to address it. I wish I had more time to go into detail. This is a huge issue.
I appreciate the high school. Yeah, his affection for Logan because he was there for 10 years. Take the mic over here now. You know, to Rick's point, and I would ditto everything that he just said. St. Pete, to its credit, for the last probably 3 mayors, Mayor Fisher, has really been aggressive about intervening in the school system, much more so than most cities, because, like he said, we have no jurisdiction of the school system. We work with the end product as it comes out through the K-12 system and try to find jobs for it. But we don't, as mayors, unlike a lot of the mayors of the North, actually run the school system. So I think everything that Rick said is absolutely on the right track. I think there are lessons to be learned and best practices from our own country. But I think first and foremost, particularly in some of our troubled neighborhoods, making sure that those young people are safe on their way to school and their way home from school, that we keep them in environments where they have adult leadership. I mean, I can tell you this summer, for example, we had a rash of shootings as well, just like in St. Pete. And we made the decision in some of our difficult neighborhoods to open up the recreation centers 7 days a week to midnight. We had, I'm a little hard of hearing, but we had 17,000 people who took advantage of that program. Yes, ma'am. All the way over there.
Hello, Mayors. I'm Corey Adler. I guess this is for both of you, but Mayor Kriseman, many years ago, the community had a group called the Community Alliance. It was around for a very long time, and when our community faced the same kinds of issues that we're facing now, that group was convened and talked to each other and really helped communicate what was real and what was not real, and shared information with the city and the chamber, and that kind of dissolved. So I'm wondering if there's any plan to bring people together, to convene them, so that when the time comes that we have another issue, that we're not running around trying to figure out who should be there that we already know. And Mayor Buckhorn, I know that you have the Human Rights Council on one side, and I'd like to hear more about that.
And I don't know if you were able to attend one of our community conversations that we held. We held a series of community conversations in our stories, which were an attempt really to engage in dialogue and communication, because that's really where it starts, is allowing people to convene in a place that's safe, where they can have open dialogue and talk about the issues that we are facing as a community. And they were powerful. We had great attendance at those, but those are just a start. So we are working not only with our school system, but we're working with our pastors and our religious community. We're working with the interfaith community. We are working as our polices, because if the police department isn't getting out and integrating with the community and having that dialogue, you see some of the breakdowns that have happened in other cities around the country. And I really applaud Chief Holloway for bringing Park Walk and Talk here. We've got a lot of work to do in that area. We have a big gathering on Sunday for our Sunday supper, where there'll be more conversation and more dialogue, and we're going to continue to do that.
We do have a Human Rights Council that has been in place for a long time. I think Tampa was one of the first cities under the leadership of Mayor Sandy Friedman back in the early 90s that passed a human rights ordinance. And just to tell you how far we have come, and I remember vividly when we passed that human rights ordinance, our public hearings, over 4,000 people, half were for it, half were against it. In the ensuing 20 years, when we passed the domestic partner registry, about 2 years ago, I didn't get one phone call in opposition. And so that tells you how our communities and our country have matured. But more importantly, I think it tells you that certainly for our two cities, and our history is different because we were settled by immigrants. They came to Tampa, Italians, Cubans, and Spaniards to roll cigars. So we have a long history recognizing that you may speak multiple languages, you may be from a different country, you may be of a different orientation, and you may love a different God, but ultimately we are all together because we look like America in the world, and we are proud of it, and we celebrate that, as does St. Pete. So if you cannot let any politician divide you based on any of those categories, and if they try to, put them out of office.
Exactly. One of the most interesting things in the future is going to be the effect of the widening of Panama Canal. More than any other single economic interest or factor, it poses a great opportunity for the Tampa Bay area. What are we doing? I hear very little about this and read very little about it in the newspapers. Where are we at with the Port of Tampa, St. Petersburg, and the economic potential?
Great question. As many of you know, the Panama Canal will be widened significantly and completed over the next 2 to 3 years. In essence, what that means is the ships that come through the Panama Canal can be 3 times larger and carry 3 times the amount of cargo. At the Port of Tampa, which is the closest deep-water port to the Panama Canal, we've launched an aggressive strategy for expansion. We just purchased 2 new gantry cranes that are being constructed in China and being shipped over here. We will, to the extent possible, maximize our ability to add more containers to our line of businesses. The I-4 connector, which some of you have driven on, that now allows you to get from Port Tampa Bay to the state of Maine without a single traffic light. The speed to market in the port, the container business is critical. We have a new CSX line that runs throughout the entire length of the port that allows you to get from Port Tampa Bay to Chicago with a direct shot. We have spent a lot of time in Panama over the last 3 years working to attract international flights. We were successful with Copa Airlines. But I can tell you the entire Bay Area will benefit from that widening of the Panama Canal and that Port Tampa Bay, which is the largest port in the state of Florida, being successful. That in and of itself is responsible for over 80,000 jobs in the Tampa Bay area.
And David, we recognize the importance and the impact that widening is going to have, and obviously that's one of the reasons why we took a trade mission down to Santiago, Chile. And it was fascinating, and I hope I don't mistake this one, it was fascinating to learn how things are being shipped to come to our market, but they're not coming straight to our market. Because of traditional shipping, they're going to Philadelphia and then being trucked back here, which makes no sense. And so the things that are going on at Port Tampa Bay right now, I think, are going to be huge for changing that traditional line that's going on so that we can start having things coming into the Tampa Bay area and the business with it. We're going to continue to travel to Latin America because we think the opportunities are boundless.
Donna Blazovic. This is for Mayor Kriseman. It's been reported in the newspaper that for the Martin Luther King celebration, a particular gentleman has been invited to speak who believes that gay rights and same-sex marriage are prohibited by the Bible. And now they're talking about the fact that you will not be presenting the key to the city or they will revoke the speech. I would like your opinion on this and whether a person should be punished because of his freedom of speech under our Constitution.
We'll give you this now.
So let me first say, I didn't pick the speaker. And when we were asked if we were willing to give the speaker a key, our answer was no. Now, I find his comments and the things that he has said not in line with who we are as a city and the vision of who we want to be as a city. But that's not why we're not giving him a key. We have changed our policy regarding awarding you keys because, quite frankly, it's the highest honor you can award as a city to an individual. And this is somebody who's just coming in to speak to us, who has not had an impact on this community, although apparently it's not a good impact these days. So I will go and I will talk about and hopefully educate him about our community and who we are in St. Petersburg. and why this is a great place to live because of our diversity, because of our tolerance, and because of the fact that no matter what color you are, what your race is, your sexual orientation, your religion, you are welcome here in St. Petersburg.
Except me. Is he a member?
I'm a member.
Oh, man.
Sorry. Adam Smith. I just wondered if you both could talk about your interest in a Cuban consulate for your city or your lack of interest.
Yeah. It's the last damn time I do that. All right. Mayor Kriseman obviously has been very aggressive and enthusiastic about pursuing trade with Cuba. As all of us know, the president has lifted some of the regulations allowing more trade, more commerce between Cuba. The embargo is not likely to be lifted anytime soon as long as the current Congress is in place and the current members are in place. So there are some limitations on what we can or cannot do. I have said from day one, I'm not interfering with other folks' ability to travel to Cuba. Our chamber has been to Cuba. There have been others that have gone to Cuba. As for me personally, I choose not to go. And I choose not to go out of respect for the history of the people that live in my community and that build my city. There are tens of thousands of folks who I represent who lost everything to Castro. They came to this country with nothing but the shirts on their back. Many of them spent decades in Castro's jails. I cannot be disrespectful of that history, and I will not be disrespectful of that history. So for me to go to Cuba, other than the mayor of Miami, would probably be a significant political cue for the Castro brothers, and I choose not to participate. Now, if St. Pete gets consulate, or if it's decided that it comes to Tampa, I will abide by the law, but I'm not going.
Clearly, the challenges that Mayor Buckhorn faces are not the challenges that we face here in St. Petersburg. And as such, I have been very aggressive and outspoken of my desire to see the consulate here in St. Petersburg. I think the opportunities, even though right now from a business standpoint, the opportunities for exchanges aren't there, but the opportunities for cultural exchanges, I think are tremendous. And from my visit to Havana, I see great similarities between that city and my city, two cities that I believe are really rooted in arts and culture, and that is the quality of life that makes them so special. And so I am really excited about the opportunity to see some of their performers, to share in that artwork and the exchanges that can go on between my city and that.
Bill Michaels, this is for both mayors. We've talked a lot about many of the things that make our cities great here. And one of the other qualities that makes our cities great is our unique heritage and our sense of place. And a part of that is the valuing of historic preservation and our landmarks. And I'd just like to hear from you what you see as some of your accomplishments in that area and major plans for the future in that regard.
Bill, I would have never guessed you'd ask that question. Historic preservation and the character of our city is everywhere. It is what gives us our character and what makes us, I believe, our two communities very different from a lot of other places in the country. I am working with our historic preservation staff to look at doing a complete revisit to properties that we have on our list. I think we need to update that list. It is long overdue. And we need to be more aggressive in what we do once we've updated that list, making sure that opportunities are there for preservation and preserving those properties, making sure that the business community knows up front, rather than on the back end after investments have already been made, what properties are potentially subject to historic preservation requirements. so that we're all working together to continue to maintain that character in our city.
Bill, I'm a huge believer in the value of preserving the past, particularly the urban environments. We really set out, we had some very historic structures that had sat vacant for a long time. First and foremost, the old federal courthouse. Mayors had struggled for a decade really to find a way to make that deal work. The federal government gave it to the city for $1 a year. It had been vacant probably 10 to 12 years, and we were paying $100,000 a year just to keep the AC on and keep the mold out. We put an RFP on the street, got a developer in there who invested about $24 million of his own money, and built Le Meridian, which was one of Condé Nast's top 100 boutique hotels last year. The Ukulele restaurant that many of you have enjoyed on the Hillsborough River, that was an abandoned city water facility. And it sat vacant for literally 30 years. There was a spring next to it that you enjoy now that had been covered up, and that park on the other side of it was completely vacant land. We did an RFP, joined with Richard Donsmart. I did the park in the spring. Richard did the restaurant, and it is now a destination. So you can take those old buildings and bring them back to life. It can make money for the developer, and it can be a jewel for your community.
Questions from Mayor Kriseman. I just would like to know what the economic development is in the city, such as the pier.
The status of beer? Okay, so, yeah, if you were talking beer, it's great right now. Everywhere. The pier, well, first off, if you look out there, the inverted pyramid is wrong. You know, we are entering a period, to me it's very exciting, but I think the community needs to be aware that it's going to kind of be a little boring visually, because the demolition will be concluding soon, and then for the next year, before construction begins, we've got the boring stuff, not to the architects and designers and engineers, but the plans are going to be conceived and drawn out, and then submitted and permitting and approved. It's not real exciting and sexy, but once that's done, then we can start construction by 2018. The new St. Pete Pier will be opening, and we expect that facility to be much more open to the entire community. It's going to be a place where everyone, no matter what your economics are, is going to feel welcome and going to want to go to, and a place that we believe is going to come to. So we're very excited about the future of the new pier.
All right, so now, don't go away, because I am dying to find out what the real deal is about your running for governor and your being lieutenant governor. Maybe you can just answer that question.
No, that was a joke, kind of like on the part of banning someone from coming to our city. Yeah, we can't take those things seriously. I love my job. I'm looking forward to hopefully serving beyond this district. So, hopefully bigger part of this.
It's all of you know that I'm done in 3.5 years. I can't be the mayor anymore after that. I can tell you, but for them, that charter language, I would stay mayor as long as the people of Tampa would have it. I love this job so much. I do think, however, though, that what makes a successful mayor is a skill set that could be applied at the state level and is probably desperately needed in this hyper-partisan environment. Because if you think about what mayors do, mayors are far less focused on partisan issues and scoring political points, and they are far more pragmatic and focused on delivering results. That's what we do. And so if we're going to be the state that we are capable of being, if we're going to come out of this recession and compete with states and regions all over the globe, exactly what we have done in Tampa could be applied at the state level. And I will tell you this, I'm going to look at it. I can't tell you that I'm going to do it. It is a huge undertaking and a big, big decision for my family. As many of you know, I still have young children. But as 4 years ago, When they said I couldn't win, I said I had an obligation to those 2 kids to leave my city in better shape than it's given to me. We also have that same obligation as parents to leave our state better than it's given to us. So we'll see.
All right, now it's time to present the Fang and Claw Award, and I'm not sure if the Tampa Bay Times has a gift policy, but the winner of the Fang and Claw Award today is our own beloved Adam Smith. Adam?